unlocks the R&D benefit through another deliverable called the R&D tax schedule, which is what combines all the costs that you can claim, which go into your tax return. So One thing that makes the R&D tax incentive a little bit different from other programs is it's administered by two separate government bodies. The ATO, that really looks after the expenditure and the benefit claimed by the company, and Industry, which is a government body that primarily focuses on administering and assessing the technical eligibility of the activities that the company is claiming. An R&D claim is really composed of three layers of eligibility. First, you look at the eligibility of the company itself. Is the company entity as such eligible to make an R&D claim, to register for the program? Once we have established that, we look at the technical eligibility of the activities, of the actual work that is being undertaken. There's a big bulk of the job of an R&D advisor is to, number one, educate the clients on these rules and eligibility requirements, and then understand what the client is doing, and then map their work against these requirements and making sure that they are well supported. So that's what we call the eligibility and scoping activities, to work out what is the scope of your R&D activities. And then the third aspect of eligibility is expenditure eligibility. And that is exactly what you mentioned, What types of costs can companies claim? Salaries, contractors, there's a couple of overheads. And then there's a whole bunch of other hidden costs that companies are traditionally maybe not that aware of, that we can find out through the right understanding and questioning. Right?
And when you go through the eligibility process, so you make an application to Industry, they assess it, whether it's eligible or not?
Exactly. So typically the way, let's say you were the R&D client. You're my client now and I'm the advisor. And the first thing that's going to happen is we're going to get you set up on the R&D customer portal. There's a couple of onboarding activities that need to take place. It takes time, right? Anyway, that's the first step. Then I will ask you a whole bunch of things. Sivan, tell me a little bit about what you're developing within the financial year. What were your challenges and so forth, right? What documentation have you got to back it all up? And I will prepare a report, an R&D project description. It's usually like a 5 to 10 page technical report. Sometimes there are multiple reports depending on the size of the business, how many projects and activities there are. But fundamentally, it all boils down into these R&D project descriptions. And I will also work with your accountant or with your accounting team to actually collect information about the costs that you've incurred. Right? And I will develop a cost model, right, that reflects the costs that relate to the activities. The R&D project description then goes into the R&D application form, which gets lodged with Industry. Industry then does a high-level review, not a very detailed review, but they do a high-level review to make sure that companies have addressed the key eligibility requirements, that the forms are complete, that they generally get the feeling that companies have understood what is required to make an R&D claim. Right? They then issue a registration number, which is effectively a number that then unlocks the R&D benefit through another deliverable called the R&D tax schedule, which is what combines all the costs that you can claim, which go into your tax return.